everybody? Ty here. Hopefully everyone's doing well and having a good start to their Friday here by the time they're seeing this. We're going to take a quick look at the tropics because, contrary to popular belief, even though we just had a major hurricane go down in the eastern Pacific here, Category 5 at landfall, strengthening from tropical storm within Category 5 within 24 hours. It's still pretty active right now. As I've said before, plenty of times in the last few weeks in particular, hurricane season ends November 30th, and we still have plenty of activity. So we'll look at both the Atlantic and the Pacific right now. We'll start out with the Atlantic because we still have a couple areas of interest. This is the first area right here. This area right here is the remnants of Tammy. There is a chance that this could flare back up once again for a brief period of time. This is really more so extra tropical right now, but it could regain its tropical characteristics momentarily before starting to fall off once again, and this time it would be for good. It's when we go to the 7-day outlook is where my interest towards the Atlantic really starts to peak here. This has been in a little spot where things have been less active, and I'm concerned about this area because the water here is still pretty warm. And when you get into this area here, notice there's only one place for you to go, and that's into land. Now, just exactly where this goes is beyond uncertain. It's still questionable as to whether or not this forms, but this I find very alarming, especially given the recent circumstances. So definitely going to be keeping a watch on this right now. As I've said before, no guarantees as to whether this truly forms up right now. If we go back to the 2-day outlook and we actually look at the satellite, I think this is the best that we can muster up right now, is this little area of clouds right now. Barely even organized, maybe some showers and thunderstorms at best. We go to the Eastern Pacific. That's where things are a little bit more interesting. We have an area that has a 20% chance of developing within the next 7 days. Expecting this to not really do much of anything at the moment, but of course, as we know, things can change very quickly. This, however, I'm more concerned with. This is likely to be the next named storm in the Pacific right now, so we'll have to see how this ends up starting to set station here. The next named storm in the Pacific, because there's actually no active storms right now, by the way, it would be Pilar. And I'm going to put my money on this threat that's over here towards the Caribbean and just north of South America here as being the next named storm, which would be Vince. But it's actually pretty quiet across the globe right now. Here's what the storm tracks of the little bit higher potential storms are looking like right now. Still a lot of uncertainty with these two in particular, but from what I've noticed is that for the most part, what's left of Tammy is looking to probably remain out at sea. And of course, with this being so close to Mexico, unfortunately, and towards El Salvador, Guatemala, and more, it looks like landfall seems pretty likely. Just what that landfall will be like, what it will look like as far as the strength and intensity, leaves a lot to be determined here, so to speak. Everywhere else, there's not really too much in the way of tropical disturbances right now. There's something a little bit further out over here towards further out to sea over here. This is more than likely not going to become much of anything as of right now, but we'll still have to, of course, keep a close watch on this too. So if we were to go to the parent models and take a look at these systems right now, this is what would be the remnants of Tammy. Tammy does get a decent chance at trying to get its act together here, but just as quickly as it starts to come together, it falls apart even faster, starts to hook back around and loop and really just come apart. And then by the time we get towards the 5-day mark, it's become pretty much nothing at this point. Towards this area here, one thing to make note of course, the sea surface temperature is still rather warm at this point. So if we were to go back to about what current time would be, just a little bit out ahead of it, the waters are pretty cool where the remnants of Tammy would be. Remember, Tammy went subtropical or post-tropical not too long ago. So slight chance it could regain its tropical characteristics. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards no, between the wind shear over towards this region and much more. We'll go ahead and look at that really quickly. And no real surprise here with the way the jet stream has been set up over the US and really starting to crank as of late too. So with that being said, the storm is more than likely going to run into cooler waters and end up being sheared apart as well. Nonetheless, it's still worth watching, but I don't think this will have any interaction with land. Tammy, on the other hand, is a different story, and there's a little less certainty with Tammy right now. So this storm, as of right now, according to the HAFSA parent, is trying to get its act together. Never really does within the 5-day period here. It also is moving really slow, so a lot of questions to be had there. But we look at the sea surface temperatures right here. It's kind of eerie how this reminds me a lot of the environment over towards when we had Otis recently. Very very hot sea surface temperatures nearing 90 degrees once again, and shear is actually pretty light across this region here. So if we were to actually get an up close look here, all the shear is kind of hanging around towards the back side of the system, but around it, outside of the storm itself, it doesn't seem like it has a whole lot to compete with here. It definitely looks like it will have a fair shot of getting itself organized at first. If the shear does change to a pattern like this, then maybe we could inhibit it from developing, but we'll see how this plays out. Of course, didn't really think that, like we said, we didn't really think that Otis was going to do much of anything, but then look what happened with that. We'll have to watch this little region over here just north of Panama and others, so that way or Panama and Nicaragua, because that's what this model looks like it's trending towards, is maybe an impact towards Nicaragua, maybe even further south than that. And for the most part across the entire Atlantic region, pattern still looks like it's going to remain pretty dominant here as far as the upper level shear is concerned. This area right here is what has me most concerned, though, of course, as far as tropical development over the Atlantic is concerned. If this can get going here, there's a good chance that this takes off and becomes something more significant. Could also be a chance that that's what would be left over of this system that's hanging off of the coast of El Salvador and Nicaragua right now. So that has to be watched as well. And then also another thing to make note of is the amount of energy that we have available. These little ensemble members, I haven't seen too much in the way of activity over there just yet. And this is looking about 5 days out. I haven't really seen anything get going just yet. So like I said, it's still questionable that anything gets going, but after about a week, here we are starting to see a little bit of a signal here. But at this point, it's kind of hearsay as to where it ends up going. I've seen a few operational models as well kind of try to favor Florida here, but if it's only 1 or 2 runs, you have to look for a trend more so at this point. And if you don't see any congruency between the other models, or more so discrepancy, gives you less confidence. So outside of that, haven't really seen much as far as the main development region is concerned. Not much in the way of energy there. It really seems like the Caribbean might be where the most activity exists for the meantime right now. I think the winds over here towards the main development region have strengthened to such a point to where it's becoming a relatively hostile environment for tropical systems. So there's some good news to be had. We typically will start to see this slow down towards mid-October and into November, so we're right on schedule with that. As far as wind shear over here towards the Eastern Pacific is concerned, we do start to see a little bit of an increase coming into play with that subtropical jet. We do see a couple of spots where it starts to lighten up around here. Very familiar spots, unfortunately. But with that, of course, the chance for new storms to develop will increase slightly. But as of right now, I don't really see anything looking too menacing in the immediate term, so to speak. When we look at the ensemble members, of course, there is what's likely to become our next storm over here towards the Pacific. And then as time goes on, we don't really see much more in the way of energy in the short term until we get at least about maybe 7 to 10 days out. That's when we start seeing more pieces of energy. A couple of these may try to get going, and maybe the west coast of Mexico might need to be watched once more. But of course, the further out we go, less confidence we have, and haven't seen much in the way of model data kind of picking up on this as far as operational runs are concerned. So not much congruency to really be had here. That being said, going to be keeping an eye on everything, especially after that blind side that was Otis. Man, I'm still stunned about it, just thinking about it. But we're going to do everything we can here to try to be more vigilant and try to help others be more vigilant. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you smash that like button, decimate that subscribe button, obliterate that share button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. This has been Metalhead Weatherman. Till then, take care and have a good day.